The day I am filming this right now is July 1st, which means that it is officially time, for me at least, to start prepping for Halloween! It is so close to being autumn, and let me tell you, it may be 85 degrees outside today, but I'm sick of it. I want fall colors. I want pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. I want pumpkin spice lattes, even though I don't even drink coffee. Which is why when one of my family members asked for a fall-themed quilt for their birthday, I knew that starting it in July would just make me want fall even more. But their birthday is at the end of July, so I do have to get started on this fairly early. The thing about having a fall quilt is that if you actually want to use it in the fall, then you gotta make it a season early. So even though it's not even the 4th of July yet, I'm going to be starting on this quilt. Now, I've had my eye on this project for a while now. So I took the initiative to buy a bunch of fall-themed fabric from Joann's before they had even announced that they were going to be shutting down. So I have quite a few different fabrics that I got from Miss Joann's, and I'm going to use these along with some other fabrics that I found in my fabric stash to make a lap blanket quilt for my wonderful mother's birthday.
When I'm making a quilt, I tend to scour my Pinterest and Instagram likes to find a design that could work with my theme. And once I have that in place, I am able to go in with fabrics and sketch it all out so I can see the full layout. I had never made flying geese quilt blocks before, so I really made sure to take the time and practice this technique on scrap fabric that I had in my bin. The ghost may have been too on the nose to put in the quilt, but it worked perfectly for this practice piece.
I'm happy I went ahead and practiced this technique because it took a little bit of trial and error, but I am happy with the outcome. So I'm gonna go ahead and start kind of mass cutting out a lot of these pieces and going from there. Because Joann's is closed down, I can't just go and order these fabrics if I run out of any. So I really need to make sure that what I'm cutting is what I'm actually going to be using. I can't afford to waste a lot of this fabric.
About half of the fabrics I was able to snag at Joann's before they shut their doors, and the other fabrics I had in my stash from my time fabric hunting at different estate sales. Overall though, piecing is my favorite part of the quilting process, so I was having an absolute blast during this time where I was just going ahead, cutting out fabric and piecing all of the different pieces together to make these giant quilt blocks.
I am done with my first block. There were some trials and errors as I went along, but I was able to get it all done, which I'm very happy about. And now that I have all of the measurements and everything kind of underfoot, it's a lot less trial and error and more knowing what I'm going to be doing. This block I'm very proud of. There is, as far as I know, as few seams as I possibly can make, and I'm really proud of that. I think it looks really nice. But it is quite late. It's later than I anticipated for sewing this block. So what I'm gonna do is put this up and start working on it another day. I am getting closer and closer to my deadline, so I do really need to like buckle down and start working on this. Since last time I checked in, I have made 3 more blocks, so I have a total of 4 quilt blocks done. My next hurdle is actually going to be harvesting this fabric that I have from a shirt. I made this shirt back in like 2022. It's not really my style or anything I ever really gravitated towards, so it's just kind of sat in my closet, and eventually I put it back on my fabric shelf to harvest the fabric from. One thing that I did notice is that both of these are from Joann's. This one I bought at the beginning of 2022, maybe 2021, and this one I bought at the end of 2024. And the quality of these two are very different, which I find very interesting. They're both 100% cotton, and this one is the same shade all throughout. It's dyed with the crosses printed on this dyed fabric. Whereas this one is all entirely printed. If you look at the back, it's just kind of a white color with the maroon printed on along with the plus. it makes this fabric really stiff and I can feel the coating on it. Even though they're technically like the same pattern, I've noticed that with Joann's, as they were kind of heading towards bankruptcy, the quality of their fabrics really changed.
Looking back at it, I'm not sure why I kept this shirt in my closet for so long. Placing it back in my fabric stash was a blessing in disguise, though, as the puff sleeves were actually made up of a ton of fabric. I was able to use about half of this shirt in this quilt alongside the other yardage that I had bought. I did make sure to set aside all of the half square triangle scraps that I accumulated throughout this quilt. So now I just need to come up with another fun autumn patchwork project to put these scraps to good use. I have my nice little stack of sewing while I watch Pitch Perfect 2. The thing about sewing with just like a big stack here is as I'm picking up pieces, I'm kind of zoned out as I watch my movie as I just go along sewing. And I accidentally picked up this piece, started sewing, not even realizing that there was another piece attached to it. So now I get a seam rip a little bit as I have solidly 2 lanes of thread just going through this extra piece. It's a nice little adventure. My quilt top is all done and I really like it. It definitely has like really big fall colors in it, which I love. As I was working on this, I was just watching as many fall themed shows and movies as I could. I was really in the spirit. So I was watching Over the Garden Wall and Hocus Pocus and all of my favorite fall things while I was working on the quilt top. In July. It was strange, but it was absolutely perfect for what I was working on. Now that I have my quilt top done, it's time for me to go on to my least favorite part, honestly, which is actually quilting this. I have my batting all ready, and then I have this quilting cotton for the back. This is like a buffalo plaid that I got from Joann's a while ago. I have more than enough of this. I have about 4 yards. The only thing is that it is not wide enough to use one piece of it for the back. So I am gonna have to piece this together to make sure that it spans the entire length. This quilt top ended up being about 60 inches by 60 inches, and I believe this is 45-inch wide fabric, so I'll need to just put a little strip. And I'll do my best to line up the pattern, but that'll be pretty easy to do. To start with my quilting, I need to lay out all of my backing, and then I get to start pinning. Been a minute. By minute, I mean at least like 3 weeks since I did my last update video on this quilt. But the reality is that I'm actually almost done. I was planning on using my own walking foot, but unfortunately it broke. Like one of the pieces just like had snapped. It was a pretty old walking foot. It was like a hand-me-down that I had gotten that fit my machine from a friend. So it wasn't really a big surprise. But that did leave a little bit of a hiccup in the road. I'm currently borrowing a machine and walking foot from a friend. And this is actually the first time that I'm using a walking foot. And it makes so much of a difference. It's not even funny. What I've been doing is I've just been going along and stitching in the ditch. And I've done all of the vertical lines on this quilt. I have not yet done going down the center because I have a plan for that. But since I have the vertical lines done, now it's time for me to really start digging in and doing the horizontal lines just to really secure it down. And then I think I'm gonna go in and stitch in the ditch along these points here and have that be an additional look for this quilt. I'm debating if I want to stitch in the ditch or if I want to move in about 1/4 inch and have the seam be a little bit more visible. That's something I need to figure out. But I have really been liking working on this quilt
It's coming together a lot faster than I thought it was going to, even with me putting it off for so long. But I've had my friend's machine for so long at this point that I really feel like I need to give it back. So my goal is to finish this within the next few days, and then I can just do the binding on my own machine. But I'm gonna go ahead and do some of the stitching, and after the stitching, it's really just the binding and my little nameplate on the back. Then it's done, and I can finally give this gift to its recipient. That person's birthday was actually back in July, and it is now the middle of August. So I really gotta get them this quilt, that way they can enjoy it for the fall months. So I really gotta get going on this one.
Got the mic out. It's getting serious. This turned out really well. It turned out better than I expected, I think. And I'm really, really happy with all of the fall colors, and my quilting on it is something that I'm really happy with. Overall, I had a really good time making this. I always love making a quilt. I've said it once and I'll say it again, that quilting really scratches the puzzle part of my brain. So working on a project like this for a gift really just brings me a lot of joy, both in the making and the giving of it. This was my first time using a domestic sewing machine with a walking foot, and let me tell you, a walking foot changes the game. If you are quilting on your domestic machine and you do not have a walking foot, I highly recommend borrowing one or buying one or finding someone in your area who has one, because it made it so much easier. I haven't yet washed this quilt yet, so I'm really excited to go ahead, throw it in the washing machine and my dryer and see all of the crinkles appear along the quilting. That's probably one of my favorite parts, and while I'm not filming it for this video, if I end up washing it in time for this to go up on YouTube, then I'll make sure to include a clip. Overall, though, I had an amazing time working on this quilt. It was such a fun project. I worked on this from July to now September, which I cannot believe that it's taken me this long. But once I got in the groove of actually sewing, then I was able to put it together. The piecing was definitely my favorite part and something that I was able to get into fairly quickly. Once I started with the quilting, though, it was a little more tedious, as it was kind of the same thing over and over again. So it took a lot of motivation and time for me to actually work on the quilting part of this. Once that was all done, though, cutting it out and then having the binding all done was super quick. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Lauren, and I put out videos whenever I can or whenever I finish a project. I really love to quilt and sew and knit and do all kinds of different projects. I am very happy that I was able to finish this in time, and I'm really looking forward to my next project that I'm working on right now. It is entering the fall months, which is by far my favorite time to sew. So hopefully in the next coming weeks, you will see a lot more fall and Halloween content as that approaches. But until then, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye! I gotta roll it up again. I don't want it to drag on the ground. So this is the method I'm going with. It's not the prettiest, but it's working. And I can hear voices. Oh, I do see other people with voices, and they are seeing me, and they are perceiving me. And I'm standing here in a quilt, and it's 91 degrees out. They have a dog. The dog is really, really cute. Okay, I'm gonna stop filming for right now, but I'll be back.
I tried this on just to make sure that it didn't still fit, and I probably could take it out, but it's so not my style anymore. I can tear this apart. This project in the work, they're doing construction on the roofs near my apartment.